there, welcome to this spec point. So today we're looking at 3.6, which is gamete structure. So your gametes are obviously the egg and sperm, and this spec point is just about the structure of them and how each part of the structure is adapted to the function. So first of all, let's have a look at an egg cell. So the egg is obviously the female gamete, and the first thing about it is the nucleus. Okay, so it's obviously a type of animal cell, so we've got a nucleus. Now, usually in your body cells for a human, the nucleus would contain 46 chromosomes. Now, this nucleus only contains 23 chromosomes, and the fancy name for that is called haploid, which means there's only one of each nucleus. When you've got 40 of each chromosome, when you've got 46 chromosomes, it's because you've got two of each. There's still 23 types, 23 different chromosomes, but you've got two of each. They're in pairs, 23 pairs. So this one, you've got 23 single chromosomes. Okay, so 23 chromosomes, so we call that a haploid nucleus. Obviously, being a animal cell, we've got a cytoplasm. Okay. Now, the next few parts are different to our other animal cells that we've learned. So the next one that we've got is something called cortical granules. So in a diagram, they're just going to be shown as little circles inside the cell, and they're called cortical granules. And we'll get onto the function of those in a minute. Okay, the next one is called the zona pellucida. Now, this is basically an extra layer around the outside of the cell. So around the cell membrane, I'll label them cell membrane in a moment. Around the cell membrane, we've got this extra layer called the zona pellucida. Okay, let's label the membrane just so you're sure. So that's a cell membrane or a plasma membrane, whatever you want to call that. And the last thing that we need to know about is the follicle cells. Now, the follicle cells are right around the outside, so on the outside even of the zona pellucida, we've got these cells all the way around here. They're actually other cells that are not really part of the egg cell. They're always there, so we draw them on. Okay, I'm just going to do it like this. You get the idea, don't you? All right, so they're called follicle cells. So what you need to know is obviously, what do all of those parts do? What is the function of each of those parts? So it says in your specification exactly which you need to know the function of. So I'll just go through those ones because they're the ones that they can ask you about. So first of all, it's a haploid nucleus. So that means that there's only one of each chromosome. And the reason why that's adapted for its function is because the sperm also has a haploid nucleus. So in humans, that would be 23 chromosomes. So the 23 from the egg and the 23 from the sperm come together in fertilization to make the fertilized cell of 46 chromosomes. Otherwise, every generation, you'd double the number of chromosomes. So it ensures a fertilized egg cell has 46, which we call a diploid. Yes. Right, so it's all about the 23 and 23 coming together in fertilization. The next part it wants you to know about is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm, just like any other cell, we would just say site of chemical reactions. Might specifically want you that with in relation to an egg cell, but anyway, it does. So next up is the cortical granules. So these are a bit more specialised, aren't they? Should we spell it right? Granules. this. So the cortical granules, if we look at our picture here, with these little green circles inside the cell in the cytoplasm. So the cortical granules are involved when a sperm fertilizes the egg. And the cortical granules are involved in something called the cortical reaction. Okay, and what happens is the cortical granules are basically little like little vesicles, and they release a certain chemical. And what happens is it makes the zona pellucida thicken, which stops any more sperm from getting in. Okay, so they cause the cortical reaction, which thickens the zona pellucida to prevent any further sperm entering. So make sure we don't get multiple pregnancies, because multiple pregnancies, like twins and triplets, often come with extra complications. So we've evolved to most of the time just have one baby at a time, single pregnancies. The next one is the zona pellucida. So the zona pellucida is that kind of extra layer around the cell membrane that we've got. And the zona pellucida is basically a protective layer that sperm have to penetrate, that the sperm have to get through. Okay, so it's a protective layer around the cell. Sperm have to get through, and we know that's what thickens and hardens to stop multiple sperm from getting in. And then finally, we've got the follicle cells, which are extra cells around the outside of the egg cell, and those follicle cells are another protective coating. Let's have a look at the sperm cell next. So the specific parts of a sperm cell that you need to be able to label and say what they do are, first of all, draw it. So we've got the head, the mid-piece, and the tail. So draw something in there and in here. And let's go through the labelling. So first of all, we want you to know haploid nucleus. Okay, so in here, in the head, we've got another haploid nucleus, so 23 chromosomes in a human sperm cell. Haploid means only one of each chromosome, not pairs of chromosomes. Again, oh no, sorry, not again. I was going to say cytoplasm, but this time it doesn't say cytoplasm. The next one is the acrosome. So the acrosome is found in the head part again, just here. And the acrosome is involved in something called the acrosome reaction, which we'll come on to in a moment. The next thing it wants you to know is the mitochondria in the midsection here. Lots of mitochondria, so it can get lots of energy to swim, to move. And finally, this tail part here is called the flagellum. Now, if you wanted to label kind of 3 generic sections, we would call this the head. We'd call this the mid region for middle. And this you could call the tail. Okay, so you could split it into those 3 sections like that: head, mid region, and tail. So let's go through these specific 4 things that it says you need to know. Let's copy this box because the haploid nucleus part will be the same. So copy that over here. So it's got a haploid nucleus, only one of each chromosome. Humans, that's 23 chromosomes, and it shows the fertilized egg cell has 46 because 23 from the egg, 46 from the sperm. Now, the other part's obviously different. So, the second one we need to know is the acrosome. So, the acrosome is right at the tip of the head of the sperm. So, when the sperm swims to the egg and reaches the egg, it's the first part of the sperm that reaches the egg. Okay, and the acrosome contains digestive enzymes so that it can break down the zona pellucida, which we had as that extra protective layer around the membrane, to enable it to penetrate to get inside the egg. Okay, so it releases digestive enzymes to digest the zona pellucida, to penetrate, that means to get inside egg cell. Okay, the next one it wants you to know is the mitochondria. It's got lots of these, so that we've got lots of respiration, so that we can release lots of energy. Be careful, don't ever say make energy, we release energy. Lots of energy for movement, for the tail to move so it can swim to the egg. And finally, the flagellum is obviously for movement, so that the cell can move so that it can get to the egg cell. All right, and that's it for that spec poem.